Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I was just taking a deep breath listening to my colleagues debate because we are talking about, especially in the context of children, vulnerable people. And I will be candid in saying that I think Democrats and Republicans have failed in immigration. I don't think there's any way you can sugarcoat that. We've had Democratic administrations and Republican administrations in the last 20 years, and yet here we are with this crisis. And the crisis that we're dealing with is not just domestic, it's also international, where you have folks that are leaving their home countries because they are in search of a better life, which is what my parents did when they left Iran and found each other in Orlando, where I am born and raised. And so the immigrant experience is it's shared, but it's also unique, because there's different reasons why and different paths that people find themselves to call this great country home. When it comes to the border, and I asked questions about this yesterday, the Biden administration has actually, I would argue, carried on Trump-era policies. And in fact, I was just doing some quick research. Arrests along the U.S.-Mexico border topped 2 million a year for the first time. And obviously, arrest numbers are also based upon the expansion of people coming to the border. But I want to be clear that when folks throw around rhetoric that the border is open, that's not true. Arrests are happening. Deportations are happening. And they happened under President Obama, just like they happened under President Trump, just like they happened right now under President Biden. And I also want to emphasize as well that when it comes to the humane treatments of our asylum seekers, Democrats and Republicans have failed on that front. And so we're not here to debate that the system is broken, but we are here to debate the solutions. And Mr. Speaker, I would argue that spending public money to transport individuals is a political stunt. And I asked that question yesterday, and I was told it was not germane to the bill. It is germane to the situation, because we know that with the state budget last year that many of us, unfortunately, had to vote for, even though we asked questions about this, tried to seek transparency, wanted to get it removed. We were stuck with the budget, and most of us felt like we had to vote for it, Mr. Speaker, because we have other projects in the budget, too. And we all know that's the harsh reality, is not every bill is going to have everything you like, let alone a huge budget like Florida's that is federally funded by some upwards 40%. Now, with that said, just because you have the money doesn't mean you spend it this way. And my colleague Representative Skidmore outlined many better ways we can spend $10 million. And as I sit here managing constituent services, this week alone, our office got 5 different constituent calls about housing, including single mothers who need resources. And when you talk about our migrant children, Mr. Speaker, a lot of those programs are also funded by the federal government. Our school districts get support to spend money on children that are unaccompanied. And so the attempt to paint this picture as being all state resources is once more false. The federal government pays a great deal to support the immigration system and support children that are either undocumented or unaccompanied, who, let me remind you, are children and don't play a role in how they got here, and should be loved and cherished no matter what. The last point I'll make is our governor broke the law, and instead of fighting the law, he is changing the law. And if I broke the law, especially a member of the minority caucus, I could not change it, Mr. Speaker. And so I don't understand why we just give away this ultimate power to one individual who should live up to the consequences of breaking the law. Because when my constituents break the law, they got to go through the judicial process to figure out if they're guilty or not. And that is still pending right now on this very case. And so instead of fighting the law, he's come here to change the law because he has a book coming out very soon. I assume some folks here pre-ordered it. I have not and won't. But the reality is that we have a governor setting up a presidential bid, and this is basically his attempt to get earned media time on Fox News, which is why yesterday I asked questions, is there any protection of filming folks who are transported? Can this be leaked to the media? And the answers were, they can be leaked to the media and folks can be filmed. That is not an immigrant system, my friends. That is a political stunt. That is you spending public money for airtime. And I just can't even think of a worse way to not only use public funds, but to treat our fellow humans who don't want to be caught up in a let alone a broken system. They don't want to be caught up in a politically motivated airtime that are negatively impacting their humanity. And so with that, members, I encourage you to vote no on this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.